Yeah, I could.
That would be funny.
It would be funny. It would be quite hilarious.
Don't speak to me like that again.
I will speak to you however I want.
Homestever you thought.
I'll hoomst all over you.
I don't know. Do we want to do kind of a mix-up where everybody does the same prompts?
Ooh.
Mm.
Interesting idea.
I still want us all to get a genre.
Mm-hmm.
Then we're gonna roll a dice to decide which genre out of those is what we're doing. Then we're gonna roll prompt. We're gonna get prompts, and then we're going to either debate or roll for which prompt is the one.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Should we do first roll for genre, and then we do the prompt as the interesting thing?
I don't see why not.
Give me a second to finish up my Tetris game.
So goddamn loud. It says.
Do you finish the Tetris game, or just the Tetris game finish?
Josh, I can make this louder for you. For example,
No,
enjoy.
fuck you. I'm gonna play solitaire while we're rating.
Actually, hold up. I'm on 76,000 fucking points. I'm just gonna close it because that's not gonna end for a while.
Yeah, that's a pretty good game.
56,000? No, hell no. I usually get upwards of 500,000.
I'm very bad at Tetris. Leave me alone.
Never. Do I not have a queen? I do not have a queen. I must find a queen. Oh no, wait. I have an ace. Duh.
You know what? Fuck you. I'm going back to my Game Boy.
Alright. Chat GPT. So which one are we going with?
Well, you need a genre and a story prompt regardless, so just get those ready.
Hey, bitch ass. Give me a writing genre. Alright. How about sci-fi horror?
Alright, yeah. Let's go with that, I guess.
Each of you motherfuckers needs to ask ChatGPT for a writing prompt.
He
In
gave
the
me
most aggressive
Cyberpunk.
manner possible.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, a genre.
Is this like a website I go to?
It's
Yeah.
ChatGPT.
This content may violate our usage policies.
I just got the
Motherfucker.
same thing.
I can't call the fucking ChatGPT a bitch ass.
I can't call it a dipshit.
I can't call it.
I said worse things than that, and it allowed me.
It called me a bitch. Goddamn. Oh, so the robot's allowed to cuss at me, but I ain't allowed to cuss at the robot.
Yeah.
Well,
fucking-
you got sci-fi horror. I think you got your idea now.
Oh, I don't have an 8. No. Is there a black 6 anywhere? No. I can't do anything. I'm so sad. I don't know
Here,
why.
did you get a prompt? Did you get a genre yet?
Is it? Am I going
Hold on.
insane with this? 2, 7.
Are you playing solitaire?
You're damn right I am.
Very intense experience over there.
Yeah. I can't find any of the cards that I fucking need. It's beginning to piss me off.
Okay. I got one that you guys haven't done before. Mindscapes.
Ooh, sounds interesting.
I got a folk horror.
I got Slipstream.
What the fuck
What's
is
that?
even
I
mean?
know. It's a blend of speculative fiction and literary realism, often surreal and bending the boundaries between genres. It's a great way to experiment with unconventional narratives and odd combinations of elements.
That sounds extremely vague.
Yeah.
I got 2 prompts
Find
for
out.
folk horror. I'm ready now, I suppose.
No, I thought we were all doing the same prompt.
No, you figure out what genre, and then you ask ChatGPT to give you 2 prompts in that genre, so you could give it to somebody.
Oh yeah, I need to do that.
No, the 2 fucking Bizarro Fantasy prompts I gave Joshua last time were fucking killer.
They were. What was the other one? I don't remember the other one off the top of my head.
In a world where emotions are physical objects, a man accidentally buys a bag of grief instead of joy and embarks on a bizarre journey to return it. While his grief grows legs and starts living its own life.
Yeah. Dude, Bizarro Fantasy is one hell of a rabbit hole.
Just all the straight up insane shit, yeah.
Exactly.
I don't like the genre. No.
Alright, what are everyone's genres so I can write them down?
Dondo has Cyberpunk.
Joshua has Slipstream.
If he has Mindscapes.
I have folk horror.
And then I have space horror. Yeah, okay, so Prime's prompt was Cyberpunk. Prime will read Cyberpunk. First half by me, second half by Fire. Josh will read Slipstream. First half by Iffy, second half by me. Iffy will read Mindscapes, first half Josh, second half Prime. Fire will read folk horror, first half Prime, second half Iffy, and I will read space horror, first half Fire, second half Josh.
I put down the list in self-promo. Yeah.
Okay, thank God. Thank God.
Hopefully
Okay,
that
we
looks
got
okay.
it. We got it figured out. Last time, I guess we just got really lucky and everything lined up right out the gate.
Apparently.
So this is said to be more of a feeling or literary effect than a genre.
Well, it's gonna be strange to write for it then. I'm sorry, but the AI overlord has spoken.
Yep.
And this one is more functional than Cow because it doesn't require us to kill ourselves, you know?
Yeah, yet. All
Both
right.
of these prompts suck ass. I'm gonna be real with you.
Hero.
This isn't even. The first one's not even Cyberpunk, is the thing.
Hey, complain to ChatGPT.
Okay.
Joshua, please write with fucking normal text.
Hey, Fire, you're not even writing my second half. It's Prime.
Oh, well, then I guess I don't care.
Yeah.
Do I get an
Yeah.
option to care?
No.
We'll see about
I
that.
beg
God.
to differ on all fronts.
Iffy, why did you take a picture? Why did
What?
you take
What do you mean?
Why did you take a screenshot and now you're making me have to write out the prompt?
That's so evil. Iffy, what the hell?
I don't understand the problem. Are we supposed to include this somehow?
Usually we just copy paste the prompts into the header of the fucking document.
I
You just gotta copy and paste the picture. Just slap it on.
Fucking
regret nothing.
Straight up, you guys are getting 100 words about nothing. 100 words about nothing.
Oh well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Fire, you're gonna have to fix my mistakes.
Your mistakes aren't bad. I just hope I can finish it okay enough. That's my biggest concern.
If anyone has a chance of doing that, you do, Pirok. You have nothing to worry about.
I can adapt pretty well. But
Exactly why you don't deserve to complain.
Doing Final Fantasy with Joshua, I had to fucking throw out everything
Dude,
that I have.
you were successful. Shut up.
I've got the timer. Starting in 3, 2, 1, go. And you're done. Stop.
Fuck. Okay. Well.
All right, go ahead and share your half-finished document with your partner.
Right.
Line in there
Yeah.
first.
Alright,
Insert
Fire.
and then horizontal line.
Who the fuck am I
Give
sharing
it
this
to
with?
me.
You are sharing your thing with. Let's see here.
You're sharing.
Josh. Yep.
Yeah,
Fire,
you're sharing with me.
Josh.
Who am I sharing mine with? I forget. Prime. Okay.
What's that?
DM me your emails so I can share it
Fuck
with
it,
you.
I'm just gonna copy the link.
Matthias,
Okay,
what's,
yeah.
what's your email?
You're going to send it to stop bitch ass
Commas.
at gmail.com.
Thanks for doxing yourself. That'll go in the video.
If you're recording, bleep that out. Bleep it out.
100%.
Don't forget to bleep out. Oh,
I
Don't
I
forget to
totally
bleep
I
out.
totally will bleep it out.
I got a couple of emails you can use. Just use my
Alright.
ad friendly email. Okay, so which prompt is this? Is it the top one or the bottom one?
If you can't tell, I did a horrendously terrible job.
Oh, I haven't read anything yet. I'm just
a
asking.
horrifically awful job. I'll just go die now, thanks.
I haven't started reading it. I just noticed that you put both the prompts on there.
That sentiment is shared by all of us. If you,
Hi.
that comment you made where you said you could only really write in one genre,
Yeah.
I agree.
Does it
no.
show?
It's leaking through the cracks a little bit.
It's like a cup of water. It just spills over.
It's like a sock filled with. Just kind of seeping through everywhere. I keep having to go back to this one particular sentence because for some reason my eyes are going. Every time they try and swap to the new line, they just go back to the exact same line. You ever do that sometimes?
Oh,
Can you believe
yeah.
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 It's happening here.
You're just reading the same sentence or the same line over and over again. It's just like...
Yeah, it's like, wait, I could have sworn I've been here before.
It's-
Hey, what's a good dog name?
Eric. Or,
For a husky.
Connell. No! Shut the fuck up!
I should not have asked you.
Oh my god.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, how's it going, Fire?
I hear him laughing in the background, like he's leaning away from his computer.
What did you give that poor man?
What? Your names! Why? Do you hate me? They're good names, but God, fuck.
Good
Hard to
names,
type or
but
what?
hard names.
I can't even pronounce it.
Good thing you don't have to read
I
it.
got the fucking alphabet
Yeah,
in this word,
my
in
master.
this name. A-I-O-U.
Be
I'm gonna
happy
have
to
Wait a minute.
give
I have
you
to
a
read that.
Yeah.
This is revenge for Diesel Punk, isn't it?
Oh my god, it makes my head hurt. These names. Trying to
Oh,
remember all the names.
that's amazing. Alright, is everyone done then?
Yeah.
Hey Prime,
So,
could you send me the name of your favorite shotgun?
Okay, I'm ready
Yes.
now. I'm ready now. I will
am
try.
not ready.
Okay.
I need editing access, please.
But oh yes,
The rest of the story just takes place in a comments.
you are ready to begin in 3,
Oh shit.
2,
iffy.
1.
That'll
Start.
work.
All right, that is tie.
Fuck. Alright, this ending
Yeah,
sucks.
you hit time right as I hit my last period. Holy crap. There's
Ugh.
probably a lot of typos because I had no time to edit, but
There is always a lot of typos. All right, so Fire, you are in fact reading first.
Alrighty.
I need access.
Prime?
What? Oh, how do I do that?
Prime.
Prime!
I wrote the first part. If you wrote the second part, Pyrrha, get to reading.
Alright, the prompt. After moving into a secluded farmhouse, the family begins to uncover strange carving and hear whispers in the wind, only to learn that the land they inhabit is cursed by an ancient, vengeful spirit that demands an offering each year. The wide open fields that surrounded us glistened a sickly pale green in the fading light of dusk. Not another human soul could be found for miles around us. We came here to start a new life, away from the chaos and stress of the city life. My wife, our 2 young children, and I. This place came into our lives right when we needed it to. Our new home encompassed several hundred acres of neglected farmland, 3 grain silos, 1 large barn, and the house itself sat in the dead center of the property. Our intention being to restore this place to its former glory and pass it on to our children. Our first few weeks passed us by in a whirl. This place quickly became our home. The children took to the property as easily as they learned to walk. How quickly the atmosphere decided to change. However, the seclusion that my wife and I felt in this place, after having lived our entire lives in a metropolis, strained us more than I had thought it would. My wife began feeling as if she were being watched whenever she left the house, even swearing that she could hear people talking outside her bedroom windows at all hours. She was having a hard time adjusting despite the ease of our initial settlement. I tried to help her unwind, but my own experiences here plagued my mind with unease. While clearing out one of the silos, I'd come across barely perceptible characters scratched into the interior base of the structure. They were vaguely familiar. They looked similar to the cave drawings that could be seen in natural history museums. They weren't particularly morbid in any way, but they lingered in my mind as if they were etched onto the back of my eyes. Everywhere I looked, I could see the imprint of them at the edges of my vision. After 4 months of living here, even our children began to show a slight anxiousness that did not exist in their carefree minds prior. This, of course, did nothing to improve the stress my wife and I felt. Every day, the winds would grow louder. After 6 months, they would never stop again. My wife Esther and I got a dog for the kids, a Siberian Husky they named Chubbs. Thought the dog would help bring some sense of security to
Nice
this
husky.
damn place. I was wrong. Every night I was woken by Chubbs growling at the doors and windows, howling and barking at some unknown
Good name.
thing. Every time I went to check what he was barking at, there was nothing outside, and the dog would whimper until I came back inside and closed the door. None of us had slept much in weeks. Esther suggested getting the dog his own house outside where he could whine and bark all night, and we could get some rest. With how tired we were, none of the rest of us were against the idea. It didn't help though. All of us were uneasy. The past few weeks, I've been seeing something strange in the fields. Some big, shadowy figure that would duck into the grass if I looked too long or turned too quick. It was never close enough for me to make out what it was, but I knew we had to get out of this place. 3 days ago, in the morning, I found a pool of blood and steaming viscera
Viscera.
It's a
by
viscera.
Sarah near Chubb's tongue.
No, they got
His chain
Chubbs,
was broken.
motherfucker.
And there was a trail of blood leading into the field where that thing had dragged him away.
No!
I packed the family into the car. I didn't care where we went, but we would never come back to this place. The engine was shot. When I opened the hood and found only torn wires and shredded few lines, we were trapped here with it now. That thing got bolder. It came for the kids first. Tommy was taken right before my eyes. I wasn't fast enough. We barricaded the house, and I got my trusty shotgun. I didn't know if anyone was coming to help us, but god damn it, I wasn't going to go down without a fight. It ripped its way in through the wall. It got Esther. It got my love. All I have is Isabel now. What a sweet girl. She shouldn't have to go through this nightmare. I should have never brought us to this place. I'm here with my daughter. She's going to be in my arms as we go. I can't bear this strain any longer. I'm not strong enough. She has beautiful blonde hair, just like her mother's. She left before me. I'll help her through it. It's better this way. Kinder. Now it's my time to go. Meet them. My trusted Benelli M4 never did me wrong. I can hear it now. It's bad for us. The symbols are clear now. I finally know what they're trying to tell me. They're so clear, so serene, so beautiful. I'm sorry. I won't let that Christian get us. I'm too weak. Goodbye.
Pyrrha, when you started talking in that voice, I couldn't understand a single fucking word coming out of your mic.
Well, that's why you read along.
I was, but you got
I was
way too
trying
close
to
to
give
your
it-
mic.
I could understand what he was saying. Why couldn't you?
All I heard was
Iffy, you bastard. You introduced Chubbs in the first line and then you fucking killed him.
it was a good read, Pyrrha, but your mic was not qualified for theater.
Just for half a second. And the first word I see is cum sucks.
Motherfucker.
Shut up.
What the fuck?
Okay, Iffy.
Iffy, you're reading it.
Prompt first, and then start.
I am responding to a message first.
Oh, Josh. I can't say that you made it hard for me, because you make it hard for
Two of
everyone.
you working together, it's gonna be something.
I think that's true chaos.
Could have been more chaotic.
Prompt. As the sun sets in a city built on the edge of a giant floating glacier, a lone architect discovers an ancient, sentient blueprint that begins rewriting this landscape in real time. It's a beautiful sight. It's a very rare occurrence that I get to see the sun and the moon descend perfectly in sync upon the horizon as the shiny rays beam through the crystal peaks of the icebergs. The glistening snow on the building rooftops turned from a golden shade of yellowish white to soon the darker blue as dusk falls. As I begin to step forward over the ice-covered cliff to feel the night breeze gently brush my face, my dumbass forgets that ice is slippery. Oh fuck! I exclaim, losing my balance as all it took was one step to almost send me hurtling off the cliff. I yank my pickaxe off my hip and slam it into the ice, stopping me dead in my tracks. Shit! That was almost real bad. Yeah, I don't think you want to become sea seal food, or worse, whatever it is those cum socks do. Tarek, my brother, says to me, as I make my way back down the cliff, pickaxe in hand, toward our house. Yeah, those shitbags are crazy, I said to him, still enamored by the setting sun. Well, aren't you once again gonna go for your moonlit stroll, Trough? Tarek says to me, somewhat sarcastically. He doesn't understand why I always watch the sunset, as it's the only thing I remembered from Father. He always loved to watch them, never understood why when I was younger, but now I do. It's calming, same with the strolls. If you need to know, yes I am, I say to him with a bit of pride. Well, you remember to not stay out too long. The city guard doesn't like it when you, head and load architects, stay out until past midnight. He reminds me again and again. I know they don't, but I didn't really care. The city didn't really need me. Those buildings had stood their ground for decades, barely even losing a single brick or slab of wood, especially with the ice winds we get here. I know, I reply. I won't stay out long this time. You better! Stay safe, vaginal nose! You too, large scrotum. We yell at each other as I make my way down the stairs to sitting outside the city gate.
Very overweight scrotum.
Cold was a bit chillier than normal tonight.
How does his brother know that?
As the lights in the sky dance their way across the horizon, I once again feel a sense of calming press over me. It's something that I never get to feel when I'm inside the city. It's usually the sounds of bustling streets and the occasional church bells. But out here, amongst the snowy wilderness, nothing but calm. The crunching snow at my feet, seeing my breath in the air, and the giant blue beacon off in the distance. Wait, what? The fuck? As I run toward the beacon, curious of its nature, I discover something very intriguing. A set of blueprints, buried in the snow, speaking in ancient runes. Agnes me de set and right est nul perquoin des to Twas fair, screamed the very, very prescient blue paper scroll in a language hitherto unheard by mortal ears. Celui qui a construit set and right merite de words dans un toit arrose de hus de citron. After the second outburst, I felt a violent rumbling beneath my feet and bore witness to the miracle that was now in front of me. The glacier itself began to unravel, as if it were cloth being torn asunder by an enraged seamstress by the name of Glithropanes Majorica. This is clearly the power of a magnificent being. I thought as I squealed in delight, what the fuck with the periods, my dude? The ice had formed into shapes roughly the size of buildings. I continued to squeal as if I was a masochistic hog being pounded and prodded in all the right places, winky face. At this point, the princess noticed me standing there in awe at its
We're
creation.
keeping the sexual tone all the way through.
C'est persuade de crap! Great and powerful scroll, I am Trough, the head and lone architect of the city. I have seen your great power, and I am in awe, I said to the blueprints. Embrassez mon cool! It replied to me. Va te en besoin de crab. Oh, many thousands blessings upon you, great master. I am truly unworthy of your kindness. From this moment on, I have decided to learn the ways of true architecture from this great being. I will become even greater than I already am. For the memory of my father, I shall do this. in order to honor him in this great profession in which I had followed in his footsteps. Now I shall become the greatest in order to honor his legacy. Statutions ne vot passeter et vice juste ignorer. I watch in awe, still because it's that cool, bruh, as the sensitive coral blue number 5 print continued to restructure the landscape into awesome shapes that resembled and amplified the city behind me into a glorious vision of what anything a true architect could even barely imagine in their wettest, cum-soaked building-based horny night terror. Gloria was too much to bear for my human mind, and I succumbed to unconsciousness. When I awoke, the blueprint was gone, but its glorious creation remained. I must claim this as my own. I'm a witch!
That's
That's
quite a
too
story.
freaking usual. What the actual fuck?
I know you noticed it, but just in case you didn't, I have put the translations in the comments that I've made. The first one is, the layout of this place sucks. Why do I have to do everything?
Yeah,
That's the first thing the scroll said. The second one is, whoever built this place deserves to have his little balls crushed and a vice doused in lemon juice. The third one.
Yeah, okay.
The third one, after the scroll notices the guy, says, "Oh great, who is this crab fucker?"
I thought so.
Embrasse mon cul means kiss my ass. Vati and monsieur de crab means go away, crab fucker. And the final thing that the scroll says is just, this idiot won't shut up, I'll just ignore him.
Yeah, that would.
Okay.
Oh.
Gotcha.
Oh, man.
Him and Josh.
This
Oh,
was a
boy.
glorious combination last time.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. It was the best one last time. So let's see if they can tackle space. Holy
It's
crap,
the other
space
way
horror.
around, though.
Yeah,
This
it
is
was
the
the other way around.
All right, let me put on my best narrator voice for this. A lone astronaut aboard a derelict space station discovers that the crew's twisted experiments with alien technology have turned them into something unrecognizable, and they're still alive, hunting her. They say no one can hear you scream in space. There are simply not enough molecules to effectively transfer the sound waves from point A to point B. I never gave the phrase a second thought until I was aboard the adrift space station Noel 1, barricading myself in the abandoned command bridge trying to survive. Start time, 14:51:1. The day started out normal enough. I woke up in my cocoon of a sleeping bag, ate breakfast, and performed the daily morning exercises that are meant to keep my muscles from deteriorating by the time my ship, the Blue Voyager, would make it back to Earth. Our mission was simple enough. Explore any abandoned, broken, or derelict vessels from the failed science expeditions of 100 years ago. By some unfortunate luck, it was my turn to board this sector of spacecraft. Nothing was worthy of note according to the Voyager's sensors. Nothing was going to try and kill me, other than the vacuum of space. Nothing was going to prepare me for the dangers that lurked in the corpses of those ships. Start time, 11:00:1. I was dropped off with the standard explorer's kit to loot, log, and live. Not very profitable for the company if I die, after all. My flashlight casted light into the scarred hull of the space station Noel 1, and I searched for a terminal in order to find clues as to what the ship was carrying, and where to retrieve the valuables. I pushed aside some floating debris and was spooked to find a floating corpse floating about. It was floating all right. I couldn't see under the visor, but it was always unnerving to deal with the dead, no matter how ancient. It too pushed aside with its hands got stuck on my utility belt, and I was forced to use more air to correct my course, after prying its hard fingers off me, of course. Through the rubble and darkness of the space station, I finally made it to the heart of the space station, where a terminal had managed to stay intact on the space station. Here, I learned that this was a science ship that had found some ancient alien technology.
Oh.
I had heard tales of an astronaut who found a runic tablet on an asteroid in the ring of Saturn, somehow being a massive energy source, as well as a compass pointing toward a black hole several quintillion light years from Saturn's position. Having seen the symbols on the slab of stone, I brought them up on my hollow wrist's display. The symbols, the ancient alien technology within the Noel 1's terminal, and the symbols of the slab matched identically. But that made no sense, since Noel 1 was nowhere near Saturn. Star time 12:43:7. I had become stranded. The blue Voyager lost pressure and began to collapse in on itself. What? Okay. Under circumstances that I didn't understand, and frankly, still don't, I attempted to send a distress signal to any nearby recipient willing to accept. No luck. The station's power was way too weak. It being 100 years old, it was a miracle that it had one functioning terminal in the first place. I attempted to salvage what I could from the Voyager, but most of it was either unrecoverable or trapped under the metal plates of the Voyager's hull, split in half and floating too far away from the space station, and I didn't have a long enough tether. My only choice was to see what the Noel had to offer, other than broken air canisters and the corpses of the long deceased. Star time 14:01:3. I almost died. There are things on this ship, wearing the dead and walking around in an airless station. I managed to find a couple of air canisters and some food. Incredibly old, but it was either I starve or eat, and I chose the latter. The air canisters would last me longer while I was able to build a generator strong enough to get the transmitters up and running again in order for me to send a distress call.
So I just have
When the
a quick
Voyager
question.
collapsed,
How are you gonna eat
What's
while breathing from air canisters in space?
Shut the fuck up!
that is a good question.
I'm just confused how the
I'm just
Voyager
curious.
came back and then collapsed.
There are two ways to get to the human stomach.
Okay.
My bad. My bad. You're right.
You got it. All right. When the Voyager collapsed, the side with the engine parts, gotta remember that, had been shoved up against the hull of the Noel and was impossible to salvage.
Oh no.
But it had been some time, and it's drifted far enough to where I can now salvage the engine and power sources without being crushed. Hence change. I don't know how, but I keep on hearing screeches or scraping. I had just assumed that it was the Noel and the Voyager scraping against each other. Ship sex. But even then, I wouldn't be able to hear it. I can't hear anything. Haven't been able to for a while now. But yet I heard the scraping.
What?
And those things, the dead that walk, not only somehow speak to me, but sound like they're summoning something. Again. I don't know how, but I can hear them. How?
This whole story.
I'm a little confused as to how the star time works, but
So was
the
I!
last number was
It's
the
a computer
days,
log.
But they say no one can hear you scream in space. That there are simply not enough molecules to effectively transfer the sound waves from point A to point B. I never gave the phrase a second thought until I was aboard the adrift space station Noel 1, barricading myself in the abandoned command bridge trying to survive. Their screaming had become louder and louder and louder. The chanting had become more common, growing closer and closer and closer. I had managed to get through my barricade. I look out the window of the command bridge as I see the sun, the stars, the planets, and the asteroids slowly encompassed in a black void, and it's growing ever more larger. Star time 14:15:1. We are sorry, but the dated log has ended here. If you would like to see more, please ask a manager. Thank you for reading.
Please insert more coins to continue.
Kira, you started out very good with space horror, even if it was a little bit B-movie tier horror. It was still thematic. Josh,
Why?
This is not Bizarro Fantasy.
Well, what have you done?
Although you did get quite the chuckle.
I can see what you're going
That was
for.
something.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
just-
it's at least clear. I can follow it, right?
I can't follow it.
I can
How
follow
did
it. Really.
How did the Voyager get back? How can you hear any sound when I made it very clear from the first line you couldn't hear shit?
That's the thing.
Maybe it was magic.
It's
Yeah.
you could hear the fucking shit.
That's
You
what's
could hear the
horrifying
creatures.
about it is that you
You're
can
a
hear it
spy.
in space.
Yeah, it's
Because
so
it's
loud.
psychic.
Oh yeah, I get that, but the ships are not psychic.
Well,
It wasn't the ships.
So you
The
can hear
astro-
ships scraping.
They thought it was the ship scraping
Yes, fair enough, fair.
when it was actually the dead. Apparently that was not fucking clear enough.
No, I saw it.
I got it.
I'm just. My one thing, I am a little disappointed we didn't actually get to see the dead guys. Like doing dead guy creepy things.
That's just because of the log structure of it.
Some of those lines were a little jank, but otherwise, I thought it was a good read. I had fun reading it.
Yeah. It was good.
Oh god.
So far, no super obvious standouts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they've all been pretty good.
Yeah,
Like there've been no big stinkers thus far.
Yeah.
no dog shit, but
There-
no utterly purely hilarious instantaneous winners.
Uh-huh.
This is a much more
It's
balanced.
it's
fair and
very balanced, yeah.
competition.
It's very balanced across the board so far.
Are you ready for all of that to change with Cyberpunk?
Yeah, totally.
A scientist discovers a hidden message in the genetic code of a plant, revealing a secret from an ancient civilization that could change the future of humanity. What the fuck is so funny about plants?
It's Wally!
Joshua just likes genetics. Doesn't know what kind.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
okay. Get it out of your system.
Am I wrong?
Okay. Whew. I don't know why that was so funny to me. It wasn't.
First the fucking citrons, and now the plants. Joshua, what are we doing?
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You're good. I found it surprising as well.
Yeah,
Not
it-
funny, but surprising.
It took me off guard when you say plants, so I was
the
picturing
record-
that.
Let the record show ChatGPT does not understand what cyberpunk means. As is evidenced by the prompt it gave me.
That just clicked too.
Yeah. The message was subtle, but it was there, buried deep within the hydrocarbon strands of protein Z-1341 in the specimen Magnatune celethris. It was hidden, a strange and sinister pattern of molecular code, one that would cause the sudden and unpreventable death of the organism at the exact age of 27 months, 8 days, and 9 hours. What meaning that number had in particular, I could not discern, though that strange structure worked entirely as intended without fail. Across generation after generation of test subjects, it never once failed to complete its deadly mission. Regardless of mutation or physical state of the subjects in question were a rare flower found in the Appalachians, a distant cousin of the common dandelion, though these were found growing only on select peaks in one extremely isolated region of the mountain range. Nowhere else on Earth could these flowers be found, perhaps owing to their strange and predetermined life cycles that had been laid out for them by some malevolent cosmic force. The cipher hidden in the protein, that was a harder nut to crack than the process of finding the cipher to begin with. It was a regular 2-degree consistency, and breaking it took hundreds of hours of study in the deep wells of ancient knowledge stored within the virtual libraries of the Arkham server farm.
See, I told you with these fucking names.
This is
Actually stole that one.
cyberpunk. This is cyberpunk as fuck, dog. Alright. It was only after delving deep into the cyber tomes of several outlawed and forbidden authors with physical age that I was able to slowly, surely put the puzzle together. Each agonizing piece had to be constructed from the average syllabic structure of each word in a classical and often long dead language, then run through an algorithm based in a number system that had correlated with that language's chief people, a process that required as much guesswork as interpretation. I myself cannot be entirely sure if the methods I used to unlock the cipher were genius or pure fanatical delusion, but the end result was the same. At long last, I had the translation of the code, and the message it bore filled me with dread. It read, "At the specified date, the extinction engine will activate. and the small ones will know absolution. The end be upon them, for they are those who cannot witness sin. That phrase, the extinction engine, was not unfamiliar with me, for I had oft seen it referenced in the Theomis Hollow Bible, which had been written and encrypted by the techno-lich Mycolus in the 13th century. It had doubly been mentioned in the sinister data records of the dreaded Necronomicon, in which I had found the mathematical equations necessary to crack the cipher. Okay. Give me a second. And so, it only made sense to me to redouble my efforts in translating that ancient and unholy record for any source of the mathematics which I had so willingly utilized. I learned many secrets from my divination, secrets of angles and curves by which one could transcend the four-dimensional boundaries we as humans are so eternally confined. But nothing to explain that dreaded and damnably alien construct, only referred to by those who came before as the extinction engine. There was but one hint as to who wrote within the genetic code of that small highland flower the very date upon which humanity's extinction was assured. In the Thomas Hollow Bible, passage 4 of Lazarus 16, it is stated, "And he who bore witness to the rearing of the sky bore witness to the outer ones, whose dark and terrible magics birthed death and all his implements." It sounds insane, this I know, but my mind could not rest until I found more concrete evidence of these outer ones. And thus I embarked on a journey that I inevitably would come to regret, for at its end I found nothing but terrible realization. We are not alone in this universe, I know that now, though I wish with all my being that I did not. For at the end of that terrible road, atop that dismal and lonesome mountain peak, I saw things that would terrify the most stalwart of mankind and drive even the most rational of men to madness. I brought myself from the collected consciousness of the Los Angeles mind server with a single goal at the forefront of my motivation: to ascend to the peaks of the Appalachians, where the flowers had first been cataloged, and to put to rest once and for all the creeping unease at the thought of the message hidden within them. I had hoped to find proof that the extinction engine was nothing more than myth, some long-believed fantasy of a more uneducated time, when men worshipped the shadowy gods of the night. Atop the highest peak of the Appalachians, closest to the vastness and darkness of the heavens, I finally received the data I so desperately craved. Clues of the extinction engine were here, buried deep in the half-electric landscape. I just needed to search for the ancient pathways that the Hollow Bible had laid before me. The outer ones, a date, even a spark in archaic binary will do. And then I laid witness to the answer. The genetic coding was just the first clue to the secrets that held the hopes of civilization. The second was the distinct orientation of the flowers themselves. Perhaps it was the thoughts of madness that consumed my own to think in such irregular ways. But from this peak, the patches of flowers that grew formed a constellation. It all made sense now. The flowers never growing anywhere else. The genetic code, the ancient messages passed about myths and tall tales. This horrific, unwieldy truth discovered upon the brink of the landscape bears the meaning of our salvation. I will not yield till the great prophets believe in the code and immediately depart for the dismantling of the extinction engine.
Lit.
Gotcha.
Did I finish the story okay?
Yeah. Don't really have much to add to that.
Techno-lich Mycolus.
Not easy.
Yeah, I know. I was just having fun with it. I didn't know what to write, so I was just trying to have fun with it.
A man wakes up to find that his memories have started bleeding into the physical world, turning his past mistakes into tangible objects that he must navigate in order to survive. Beep, beep, beep. Elton awoke in a cold, sweaty daze. Beep, beep, beep. The alarm continued, unrelenting, with each sound sending another wave of agony through Elton's poisoned brain. Ugh, my head, he whispered as he sat up in bed, rubbing his eyes. Where was he? How long had he been asleep? Beep, beep, Beep. He remembered going out to the pub with some old buddies, but he couldn't remember ever leaving. When he opened his eyes, he winced, the bright sun rays beaming down upon him from a nearby window. Where am I? He grumbled as he took in his surroundings. This room was familiar. The blood-stained twin bed in the corner, the old projector TV with a wire hanger for an antenna, the faint yet oppressive smell of mint. This was his apartment, all right. Did his buddies help him find his way home? Beep, beep, beep. The alarm sounded one final time before Elton slammed his fist down onto it, finally silencing its infernal chiming. He shifted his weight, sweeping his legs to the edge of the bed. Elton screamed in agony as his bare feet landed upon dozens of shards of broken glass. He gazed upon the scene in horror before falling back into the bed in agony. The milk-white glassware impaling his feet was what was left of the antique tea kettle his mother had gifted him months before her death, about a year ago. "What the fuck?" Elton exclaimed, grasping his scarred, bloodied feet, adding to the red stains that already permeated his mattress. When he lifted his foot to remove the glass, there was nothing there, only the gashes in his feet and the blood on his hands. He hesitantly peered over the edge of the bed where the glass had been, but it was no longer there. He grasped his feet, but found that the wounds there had disappeared too. "What the fuck?" he repeated again, utterly lost. He stood from his bed and walked across the room, nervously checking each and every corner for porcelain shards or tea kettles he'd long since lost. Finding nothing, he put on his shoes and decided to ignore the strange experience, chalking it up to nothing more than a beer-induced hallucination of exceptional idiocy. He walked into the hallway, stumbling slightly, and retrieved the morning paper. The headline of the day: "Man on bath salts found dead in backyard pool." That was odd, he thought absent-mindedly. The death bore a striking resemblance to his cousin Eddie's death in the late 80s. Actually, taking a look at the newspaper, he saw it was dated 9 August 1989. "What the fuck?" he asked again, more loudly this time, his words slipping out in a slight slur that made him sound not entirely present. Looky who it is!" shouted a voice, and suddenly Elton was confronted with the ghastly visage of Eddie, his face bloated and swollen, his teeth and fingers black and rotten. "If it ain't my cousin come home to join us at last." Elton opened his mouth to respond, but as soon as he did, water rushed down his throat. His eyes bulged, stinging with chlorine as he frantically flailed his arms to bring his head above the water. All the while he could hear Eddie's laughter, combined with the voice of a TV anchor on the 9 o'clock news. "A local man was found dead in his swimming pool today." Elton flailed his arms faster, his fingers poking out into cool, dry air. The coroner's report suggests that the victim was high on bath salts. His fingers around the rough tile of the pool's edges and dug in with all his strength. It's unknown how a young man of such high esteem obtained such a substance. Elton pulled with all his might, dragging his body out of the water and onto dry land. His lungs heaved, pool water spilling from his mouth, and he retched and coughed and blinked his eyes in the bright sunlight. He pushed his wet hair back from his eyes and stood, finding himself back on the steps that led to his apartment building. He went to wipe the water from his eyes, but found himself dry. Several people on the busy street gave him a strange looks as they passed, but all went about their days quickly enough. "What the fuck?" Elton said again, as if it could possibly make sense. He knew it wouldn't. If there was some deeper meaning to all of this, he wasn't able to realize it. Probably because he wasn't all that smart. He had no trouble admitting that. He drove to work, eyes giving the road a death stare, as if it might suddenly fall away before him. His stomach churned as he pulled into his normal parking space and climbed the short flight of stairs into the dingy pub. It was empty, and for that he was grateful as he situated himself behind the bar and poured himself a shot of whiskey to calm his nerves. He breathed in its deep, smoky aroma and sighed. And Yukit took another whiff, but this time there was more of a smoky burning in his eyes and the back of his throat. A thick haze of smoke filled the room, and as he glanced around, he realized that the building was on fire, and that the bar wasn't a bar, but a hospital. The screams of children filled the air, and Elton realized with a start... And Elton realized with a start that this was the hospital where his daughter had been born. This guy is older than I thought. Shortly before he burned it down with her in it so that he wouldn't have to pay child support. Something was definitely up with that. He was starting to think that it might even... Oh my fuck. He was starting to think that it might even be connected to the weird things that had been happening to him today until the door burst down and the firemen rushed in, hoses spraying water everywhere, and Elton realized he was back in the bar. The building was still on fire, much to his surprise, and so he allowed the firemen to escort him outside where he sat on the concrete and had a long, hard think about what had transpired over the course of the day. He scratched his thin, unkempt beard and pondered the situation for what seemed like hours, until he came to the shocking conclusion that he hadn't paid his ghost insurance for the month. Then he remembered that ghost insurance wasn't a thing. Elton scratched his beard again, thought some more, and then remembered what he'd been thinking about before he'd gotten drunk last night. Regrets. He had so many regrets. Maybe it started with taking bath salts as a teen, then went on to neglecting his ailing mother and taking extreme measures to avoid paying child support. But maybe, just maybe, he had time to turn things around and change his life for the better. When he woke the next morning, he sprang from bed determined to make a difference in the world, ignoring the porcelain shards in his feet and the body that floated in the pool that shouldn't have been there. A man wakes up to find his memory. Oh wait, fuck me. Ignoring the porcelain shards in his feet and the body that floated in the pool that shouldn't have been there. Oh, it's a comma. He walked down the street and to the local children's hospital, where he was promptly hit by a bus inside. And the driver of the bus, his childhood dog, Scruffy, whom he'd actually run over with his father's car at the age of 8. Sucks to suck, Elton.
Well, such promise.
What did you do?
What the fuck?
Matthias,
The last 2 paragraphs, why?
Matthias, it was going so well. Why did you change?
What the fuck happened?
It was so serious and somber, and then you hit us with so he burned it down to avoid paying child support.
And then a shocking conclusion that he hadn't paid his ghost insurance for the month.
As I was writing the story and getting a better image for this guy in my head, I was like, this guy's an asshole.
Yeah.
Like,
He is.
A happy ending.
He really is.
No dog shit stories this time.
Yep. So Connor's actually weighed in with his opinion.
He's read all of these so far?
He ranks folk horror as the highest, and Slipstream and Cyberpunk is kind of tied for second and third, then space horror, and then Mindscapes.
Mm.
I was wondering, does our opinion as a group line up with that, or do we have a different order we want to put things in?
I thought space horror should be the ranked left.
Don't want to be mean, but I do kind of agree with that assessment.
I also agree.
The halves did not gel well together.
Yeah.
So I guess we've learned that whenever a story is written by Pyrrha and Josh, Pyrrha's better at adapting, and Josh is better at creating an initial world.
I guess so.
Because, like, if we go back to Mindscapes, right? I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of bizarro fantasy in Mindscapes, but it was still very well written and easy to follow.
It's difficult for me to write the second half.
I'll be real,
It's difficult for everyone
the French,
to write the second half.
what the fuck that was,
Yeah.
didn't help that much. it kind of lost me with the French, just the random.
And that was in the
But,
story Mindscapes.
Yeah, that was.
Thinking about it after I finished, it would, since it said ancient runes, it would have been funnier to put it in like Celtic. But
I mean, I thought that was good enough.
also, my plan for making that function better didn't pan out because spectators cannot see comments, which is where the translations are.
I feel like that added to the stylistic effect, though, personally, of it being a ancient language that you don't really understand.
Like no one knows French.
Well, not in English. Yeah.
Yeah, the only word I picked up on was lemon. It's like, oh, he's talking about lemon.
The only word I picked up on was crab.
Because it's just crab.
Yeah. It's crab with an E. And I immediately, and as soon as you put in the translation crab fucker, I knew exactly what you were referring to.
Crab fucker.
Alright, I thought Folk Horror was the most complete story, then Cyberpunk, then Slipstream, then Mindscapes, and Face Horror at the end.
Face horror.
Face horror.
I thought Cyberpunk was the best. I really liked writing it. Then Folk Horror, then Slipstream, then Mindscapes, then Space Horror.
For me, when it comes to these rankings, it's more of just like, I had trouble. I don't like ranking things to begin with. So it was just kind of like throwing the match, see what sticks. So I just kind of went Slipstream, then Folk Horror, Mindscapes, Cyberpunk, and then Space Horror. I really fucked. I thought I did good. I thought I was good on it, but clearly
I didn't leave the best ending. I didn't leave a best.
The fault with that one is you two both used up literally all of your skill for the year on Bizarro Fantasy.
we have to wait until 2025 in order to have another Bizarro again.
How are we ranking Connor's 2-3?
We'll get to Connor after this. Read your rankings.
Well, mine matched up with Iffy's. I think Valkyria was the best. It wasn't the longest. It wasn't as detailed, but it was pretty thorough. It was very consistent, and it had a good, strong emotional end. There was some
I bumped
parts.
it down because you killed the motherfucking dog.
Really? I thought that made it
I can be as
better.
petty as I want to be.
Cyberpunk, I put it as second. I know I did write the second half, but Matthias's part is the main reason why I'm throwing it up there on second. It was very consistent, very strong. Slipstream, it was pretty good, and I had a hard time choosing between that and Mindscapes. It was pretty hard to be honest, but I had to give the edge to Old Memories, simply because the mapping, it just kind of threw me off. It didn't have a really strong ending. That's why I gave the point to Old Memories instead.
So I really had fun reading Cyberpunk. That it felt more complete to me, but I was reading it in the way that I would read it normally, so that kind of made it feel more complete to me because I was able to force it to. But it really did flow the best. Both the primary and secondary writers, whose names I forgot, did mesh very well for Cyberpunk. Folk Horror, I wanted to put myself in first place, but Iffy, I think that if you're going to introduce the dog and do that whole viscera near the doghouse thing, I was expecting quite the subversion with you having either the wife or one of the kids having got first. If you had done that instead, that would have been first. All right? That would have been an amazing subversion of expectations.
It all comes back to the dog.
Left.
I'm sorry.
Paragraph in my defense.
I bet you regret it.
The ending you had for it was funny. It shouldn't have been, but it was. But I think we're all a little bit screwed up in the head. But you just love to see a Benelli M4.
That's why I asked.
How did you know I had a favorite shotgun?
Because you're you.
Why'd you rank Mindscapes above Slipstream?
I'll get to that. That now, right? Actually, Mindscapes. It felt more complete than Slipstream. Mostly because I did feel a bit burned in Mindscapes. I mean, in Slipstream, I felt a bit burned when it went slightly more towards the comedy aspect than it would have been to my liking, because he had such a setup for an asshole being ruined.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But it was just too funny for it to be really atmospheric. And then Space Horror, all around, it was a weird structure. I will say that. It's a strange structure, and that would have been hard to pull off regardless of who was doing the like computer log, voice log thing. I think you bit off more than either one of you could chew, but at least the story was still very, very easy to follow and made sense.
For me, it was the inconsistency of the story that put it on the bottom, personally.
Inconsistent, yes, but at least I understood at the end everything that happened in it. The black hole and the chanting zombie space thingies, it made sense.
It made an end, at least.
Yeah, it was a good ending. It goes exactly where you expect it to, and then you're the guy reading the log. It's pretty meta. That is pretty meta.
That was a pretty cool detail, I do have to say. That was a
I do
good
like that
detail.
sentence for sure.
But out of all of them, it had the most ludo-narrative dissonance.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like a 1-point story, though. It definitely feels like a 2-point story. If it's going to be last, it cannot be dead last. Nothing can ever be anywhere near as bad as Diesel Punk was.
That still did that end up last?
It did end
I
up
think
last.
it did, yeah.
Yeah. Nothing can ever be as bad as Diesel Punk was.
So
Yeah.
I've got the average scores right here. We get the folk horror, the solid 4.5. Everyone put it either first or second, making that the winner, so they get 5 points. Cyberpunk gets 4, Slipstream gets 3, Mindscapes gets 2, and Space Horror gets 1. Yep.
Now,
we gotta talk
five
about who were the
we
better
award
half.
bonus points for the better halves, starting
Alright.
with the inverse, Space Horror. Who got the better half?
Yep.
Space Horror was written
Fire
primarily by
first
Fire,
player.
secondarily by Josh.
And I think, Josh, some of the redundancies of some of the lines is what's going to make me fire over you, at least for that, is just the stuff where it was like, yes, the space station, the floating things that floated through the space station,
That was me.
Was that?
Yeah, the redundancy
Yeah.
was Gira.
The
Redundancy
redundancy
was-
of floating, the floating corpse was floating in space.
And the
That line
flashlight
was-
casted light. Yep.
Yeah, okay.
That
So
happened
then I
at the-
might have
at
to
the
put you
last-
lower.
Yeah, this
I
one-
like Fires more because it made more sense, I guess. The collapsing in on itself of the ship, the repeated paragraph.
Yeah, oh,
of
yeah,
Fires portion. In terms of logistical, this makes an amount of sense versus this does not. I liked Fire's portion better. Because when I read space horror, it's very sci-fi horror to me, very like futuristic.
Very grounded in its own reality, right?
And this felt like more space fantasy, which is not my personal
Space
preference.
fantasy is
It
fucking
leans-
awesome.
it leans-
Space fantasy is amazing.
It is awesome. But
I
it's very
think-
much a Star Trek versus Star Wars, and this
Yes.
started out Star Trek and turned into Star Wars.
Yeah, that's a perfect way to put it.
When I was enjoying
Yep.
Star Trek.
Yeah.
Well, see, I was expecting kind of Event Horizon, which kind of threads the line, but
That's funny. 'cause
That's what was on my mind while I was writing mine.
The second part felt more Event Horizon to me because it had like the more demonic stuff happening.
yeah,
But the first part,
zombies and stuff.
what was the movie that I was thinking of when I was when you were reading out the first half? I'll see if I can remember what movie it was.
I have never seen Space.
Hero, we can fix that right now.
You need to watch it. Yeah.
I haven't seen Alien. I haven't seen Event Horizon. I haven't seen.
That's what
The closest
no.
thing.
Alien. The first
The
one.
closest
no, no,
thing
Alien.
that I have
Don't
is
spoil
Doctor Who
Alien for him.
and Star Trek.
Don't spoil Alien for him.
Doctor
No,
Who and
here's
Star
the thing.
Trek are nothing like either of those movies. But
Yeah, they
the
are
first
not.
half, the first half, for whatever reason, felt like Alien to me. Right?
Cast your votes.
I
better half
do
of
of
the
those. Of those two movies, I prefer Event Horizon more, so I'm giving Josh the bonus point on that one
Yeah, I was
personally.
gonna say,
Okay.
if we're relating
one
these
for
to
Josh.
movies, it's either Alien or Event
1 point for
Horizon.
Josh.
I'm going for Nicholas.
All right,
So,
So
Josh, I
I'm the
guess-
deciding vote,
you're the deciding
which
vote.
I was not hoping to be stuck with this.
But you've already made your
Difficult
decision.
Yeah, I think it's Nicholas.
So, through deciding vote, Pyrrha gets bonus points for space horror.
Next up, the people who wrote Mindscapes each get 2 points, plus an additional bonus point for whoever wrote the better half.
Mindscapes was Josh
Alright,
and me.
It was the French one, and I think we know my opinions on the French, so I'll cast my vote first. I think Josh's half was better. I'm sorry, Prime. I'm gonna have to give it to Josh.
So the two halves of this were very similar, but Joshua's half was longer, and I had an easier time reading it. So I'm gonna go with Josh.
So Josh automatically wins. Josh, you have 4 points total.
I
Pyrrha,
also picked the first half.
no pity points. Josh wins.
Because the ending was, it could have been stronger. If it had a stronger ending, you might have got it, or at least been closer for me.
So,
But yeah, yep. So I would rate
Josh got the
first
bonus
half.
points.
All right, so Slipstream. Both people who worked on that get an automatic 3 points.
Okay.
Who wrote the better half of Slipstream?
You see, the problem I have with this one is despite the second half being longer, the second half was the one that threw me out of it. Yet it also established, or at least continued, the same atmosphere.
It did.
And I have to say this right now, Iffy, I'm really amused by you taking, and I quote, to find that his memories have started bleeding into the physical world, literally, with everything
I thought
being
that
covered in
was
blood. That was a
I thought
good
that
touch.
Was a pretty hard. That was a hard prompt.
I do like thematically the first half. It is hard to give it the points though because the second half is just so much longer and adds and continues on. I do want to give the points to the first half, but I don't think I can.
I mean, but the last line sucks. Suck, Elton. I don't like that line. I don't think that's a good ending. I don't think it's a good ending.
I know it's not a good ending.
I mean,
I
you
know
wrote
that
so
Ghost-
much. You wrote so much, to be fair.
Ghost insurance really sunk the ship.
Yeah.
That's the point. The rushing nature, like what you're telling me, you can't write a Pulitzer Prize winning story in 30 seconds. What are you, toddler? I mean, come on, man.
God damn, I don't know who to award the points for this shit.
Ignoring the part where it's clear that he was rushed, it is hard to give points to this one. Shit, dude.
That is
Okay.
that.
You
That
guys
is our
both sound rather conflicted, so why don't we give Josh the first vote?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh god.
Yes, the person
like
who
better
like
than this?
exclaims.
Which person do I like better?
No, not which.
Who's your
yeah.
favorite parent, Josh?
Yeah,
Do you prefer-
Joshua.
Do you prefer your firstborn or your secondborn?
Do I go for the person I've known since second grade? Or do I
Brother,
go for the person I've
Pick
known
whose
since...
writing you like better. I have no personal stake in this other than a desire to know writing. Also hanging out with you guys.
Yeah.
This was fun.
Oh
It's fun. The points are since the last time.
The points are for shame. That's what they're for.
Alright, I'm still tied, so I'm just gonna flip a card again.
Alright.
Brother,
I've
right.
decided who I want to give the points to.
Alright, Matthias, call heads or tails?
Tails.
Fails.
Fuck you, I called it first.
I said Matthias, so your answer
You bet
doesn't count.
Heads, motherfucker.
Alright, it's tails. Matthias gets it.
Well, that makes pure sense. So, I had decided, because in general, I do like that if he's half, short as it may be, did not do anything to put me off of the atmosphere. And for that reason, I'm out.
Again, sorry about the ghost insurance.
Because you ghost insurance yourself, I'm giving the point to Iffy. Pure ear to deciding vote who gets the bonus points.
Yeah.
Fucker.
Fire, you gonna choose your own flesh and blood, or a poor soldier who?
Are you patriotic, Pura?
You can't do that to me. I love war stories. If his
You're
writing
fantastic.
is solid, I hate just how much the beeping is going on. But that's kind of the point, okay?
Yeah.
In terms of quantity, Matthias just has a page and a half compared to your half page.
How do you consistently write so fucking much every time?
He's a fast writer.
I imagine you type much faster.
I have to ignore my filter, which is why you get shit like ghost insurance.
and you get
That's
a
why you get
lot
ghost
more
insurance.
story and
That's why you
stuff,
get like
but-
hollow witches. That's why you get grandparent sex. Okay. Ignore my filter. Yeah, it's because I decided that I did not like him.
I'm gonna have to give it to Matthias here. Matthias has a slight edge.
Next up,
Cyberpunk. Is
Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk,
Both
which
writers
is fourth.
get 4 points. That's Fire and I.
All right, we've got new rankings, and they have
Okay.
increased dramatically.
So which half was the
Which
better half of
half
Cyberpunk?
Did we like better? I'm gonna have to skim over it a little quickly here. Oh,
Come on
right.
now, this should be no
Yeah,
contest.
this is
It should go
Matthias.
to Matthias all the way.
100%.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, 100%.
I finished it,
It's
but
obvious.
that's it.
Bonus
Yeah,
points is
gotcha.
1
That was
point, right? The entire time bonus is just 1 point.
Yes.
It's
Alright.
just one.
Gotcha. Pure. The reason that you weren't picked is because Matthias' story was complete. That is the end of that.
It was not complete.
You did not write Cyberpunk. You were not given a Cyberpunk thing. But
That's
you could have
why
made
it's
it more
in
Cyberpunk.
quotations.
But you
I was
could have made it
given-
more Cyberpunk.
What do you
You
mean?
could've- You could have brute forced it
I
by
thought-
leaving out the Necronomicon.
I thought it was a pretty good cyberpunk. It was not your typical cyberpunk, but I do think it was cyberpunk.
I saw 0 cyborgs. I saw
What?
Are you
0
kidding me? They're
What about
hooked up to
techno-
the...
The
Techno
ho-
witches,
City.
hollow Bibles. Yeah, you've got the
So forgive me.
Los
I wasn't
Angeles
thinking
Mind
Warhammer
servers, and it
40k
mentions about a
style.
physical age.
Cool.
Yeah,
Well,
the 30th century, dude.
it wasn't Japanese enough. Cyberpunk is distinctly Japanese from its origins, and there were not enough sex stores, as we all know.
Well, that is
also
not true.
distinguishing
Cyberpunk
factor.
actually originated in Texas.
Okay, that might be the case. Why is all remembered Cyberpunk Japan themed, huh?
That is not true. Have you ever read fucking Neuromancer, you idiot?
Yes, I've read
Oh my
Neuromancer.
God.
It's the one that's not Japanese.
was it-
And finally,
No.
last
Folk
and
horror.
least, folk horror.
So that's an instantaneous 5 points just
Yep.
for having participated. Now,
Formatting.
Iffy, I have to do this morally and give Prime my vote because you killed Chubbs, you bastard.
Do you have any constructive criticism for me about Chumps?
Don't introduce Chubbs at the beginning of your half and then immediately kill him.
Oh,
So,
God.
Jezreel, you wrote the first half?
I wrote
Yes.
the first half.
Which honestly, it didn't even click that was you. Which is
Why? Because your only other experience with me was fucking last time.
Yes. So
You saw me at my worst. Now you see me at my most mediocre.
I thought it was good writing, Prime. I really did. It was better connected with in terms of sentence variancy. You had some longer sentences with some shorter ones. It really helped with the flow of it.
Thank you for explaining what you meant. I did not understand what you said.
That's why I explained. Anyways,
On a serious note, I do like the amount of detail that Prime puts into his half.
yeah. The ending was very emotional. I really enjoyed this last paragraph. Did a really good job of escalating and
You got so
then
into that.
reaching a conclusion. It was easy for me to do on a first read because it made sense in terms of, how the fucking, what's the word for it?
You
I
left
feel
it for
like-
me. I helped.
Of the emotion.
It's better.
Yeah,
this way.
yeah. There's a better word for that.
The vibe.
Now it's my time to go meet
The
my
vibe.
trusted
I don't
Gen
like-
4 never did
I don't
me
like-
wrong.
I
Yeah.
don't like using vibe as a word, but
It's-
yes, it is.
But what
close to what
about
the
our
word is.
podcast? Shameless
Gotta
plug.
name drop it every 12 seconds.
Yeah.
I had to give the point to Iffy's half just because of how emotional it got.
From the way
So,
you were talking, I
Josh,
did
you're
not
once
expect
again the
that.
deciding vote.
God fucking damn it.
But Prime, I did really enjoy your writing.
Not enough, apparently.
Hi,
Josh.
hi. Where was that emotion in your writing, Prime?
Pretty simple, Josh.
The
First half or second
Black
half?
Trade
It's
Gang.
not-
Yeah, I like iffies.
All right, it's final. And with that final comment, ladies and gentlemen, we have our final rankings. Our winning story, folk horror, and our winning author, Heck and Iffy, tied for first place with 9 points each.
Hey!
Congratulations.
TM!
All right.
Nice.
Self at
Good
4,
job,
that
guys.
sounds about right.
Hey, at least you literally have better than 0.
Prime.
I've come so far.
Wait,
From
Prime, didn't you subtract one of your own points last
it was
time?
that bad, yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty rough.
What
Yeah, it
was
was-
yours? Let's see if I can
it
find
was-
it. It was final. You had 2. It was 9. Myself at 9. Matthias and Fire tied at 8. Connor at 6, and then you at 2.
I had a spiritual 0. If we want to talk about
Spiritual
it.
0.
So,
Yeah.
that's the writing game,
Oh.
ladies and gentlemen.
Cool.
We've got no repeat winners so far. Let's keep it that way.
From winner to loser.
But I want to win. I want to win next time.
I want to win the next 4 times in a row, but it's
I
not
want to win
gonna
next
happen.
time. I want to win without tying.
Well, then you've got your work cut out for you, buddy. Shit, dog.
Well, I'll be damned.
Always good. I'm gonna.
That was a fun game.
That was close. That was close.
I
do it.
was so good in the first one, and then I sucked big donkey dick in the next one, and in this one. But you know what? That's just how we do it here on 102.8 The Vibe. This is not a Vibe episode. What am I saying? Anyway,
This isn't even a humongous.
this isn't. Hope you guys enjoyed. And until next
okay,
time.
so I'm gonna.
I
Okay,
hope you,
I'm gonna be honest with you. I think Iffy kind of won that one.
hope you guys enjoyed. And until next time, I bid thee farewell.